From them emerged another Imam. There was Sufyan al-Thawri. Now Sufyan al-Thawri has quoted more than 1,000 hadiths that appear in the Siyasat. He definitely knew about the practice. A brief introduction of Imam Sufyan al-Thawri, great Imam of his time, al-Faqih, and the short-lived Thawri Madhab was named after him. Imam Abu Hanifa is reported to have said about Imam Sufyan that if Alqama and Aswad, which are both the students of Abdullah bin Masud, if Alqama and Aswad were present, they would stand in need of Sufyan. Abdullah bin Mubarak says about him that I wrote hadith from 1100 sheikhs, but none better than Sufyan. Then Imam Awza'i was from Basra. He says, if I were to choose someone to lead the Ummah, I would have chosen Sufyan al-Thawri. I'll leave this slide and you can read through this. Other people have said great things about him. But in the book Bidayat al-Mujtahid, been translated now as the distinguished jurist. In this, the different opinions of Mujtahid Imams are compared, and where they get their justification for holding the view that they did, include all the Imams of the time. And when it comes to the Raf al Yadain, he mentions over here, and I'll quote Imam Ibn Rushd, who's written the book, is that, quote, about the disagreement over the occasion of raising the hands, the jurist of Kufa, Abu Hanifa, Sufyan al-Thawri, and all the other jurists said that the worshipper is not to raise the hand except at the time of the first takbir. That means that not only is it Sufyan al-Thawri and Imam Abu Hanifa, but it includes all the jurists of Kufa. Why do you think that is so? That is so because these jurists could see the practice of the Tabi'un, and Tabi'un had no other source of information, not reading a book, whatever, but except for looking at and imitating the Sahaba. The same thing is quoted in al-Tirmidhi after quoting the hadith on not doing the Raf al Yadain. They said that this was Sufyan al-Thawri, and the people of Kufa practiced the same. And I've gone ahead and boxed that out for you to read over here. All the people listed who quote this hadith are thiqat, according to Imam Ahmad, and he has narrated the hadith about not doing the Raf al Yadain. Now let's go quickly through the teachers. What I will do is leave this slide for you. You can pause it and look at the names of all the teachers. I'll just go ahead and let you know. The first two teachers are the great-grandchildren of the Sahaba. Okay, and the next eight teachers are the grandchildren of the Sahaba. That means that these teachers are the ones that have opened their eyes with the Sunnah being practiced in front of them, but none of them were able to convince Imam Sufyan al-Thawri that this is a practice that has to be carried out. And that can only be because they themselves did not do the Raf al Yadain. The last four teachers are the children of the Sahaba. Their father is a Sahabi. They opened their eyes looking at what the Sunnah is like, and they saw their parents pray 5 times a day, but none of them practiced the Raf al Yadain. Now, just to go through some of the next Sahaba that require special mention. The teachers of Imam Shafi'i is Yazid bin Abdullah, the great-grandson of Abu Musa Ashari. He is a senior Sahabi who used to issue fatwa in Kufa. He's the great-grandson of Abu Musa Ashari. The next one is Jafar bin Muhammad. Jafar bin Muhammad was also known as Imam Jafar Sadiq. Is the great-grandson of Imam Hussain radiallahu anhu. Next one is Ubaidullah bin Umar. Ubaidullah bin Umar is the great grandson of Asim bin Umar. Asim bin Umar is the brother of Abdullah bin Umar and also the son of Umar bin Khattab. Next one is Umar bin Muhammad. He is the great grandson of Abdullah bin Umar, the son of Umar bin Khattab, the person who quotes the hadith of doing the Raf al Yadain. His very great grandson is the teacher of Imam Sufyan al-Thawri. Next we have Ismail bin Ibrahim, is his grandmother Kulthum bin Abi Bakr. So his grandmother was this granddaughter of Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Then you have Talha bin Yahya bin Talha. Talha bin Yahya bin Talha is the grandson of Sayyidina Talha from the Ashara wa Bashara, one of the 10 promised paradise. His grandmother and grandfather are both Sahabas. Next one is Abdul Rahman bin Qasim. This is the same teacher that Imam Malik had, and I introduced you to him. He's one of the 7 Fuqaha of Medina with open access to, and who learned all the hadith of Sayyida Aisha. So then the next teacher that we have is Abdullah bin Hassan. Now, Abdullah bin Hassan is the son of Hassan bin Hassan, who is the son of Hassan bin Abi Talib, Imam Hassan. Of course, he is the son of Ali bin Abi Talib and of Fatima bin Muhammad radiallahu anhu. The next two teachers that you have is Abdullah bin Muhammad and Muhammad bin Umar. Now, they're both related to Sayyidina Ali because Sayyidina Ali had an elder brother called Aqil bin Abi Talib, and Sayyidina Ali, what they had is Aqil bin Abi Talib's son got married to Sayyidina Ali's daughter, and Sayyidina Ali's son got married to Sayyidina Aqil's daughter. So they had this crisscross marriages. What that produced, the two scholars that are the teachers of, say the Sufyan al-Thawri. Last but not least over here is Sayyidina Sa'd bin Ibrahim, who was the son of a Sahabi and who was the grandson of Sayyidina Abdurrahman bin Auf. Over here you have the grandson of Abdurrahman bin Auf, father being Ibrahim bin Abdurrahman bin Auf, and the grandfather being Abdurrahman bin Auf himself. And none of them saw the practice of Raf al Yadain. Well, I've tried to limit the entire discussion, if you haven't noticed, is from amongst the Khair al-Qurun in the first 3 generations. So we're going to try our best to stick with that. And what I've done over here is quoted a hadith from Sufyan al-Thawri about the raising of the hands. Where this is the hadith of Wa'il bin Hujr. This was the other hadith also quoted in the later collections of hadith. And this goes to show, just like Imam Malik who quoted the hadith, and he knew full well about the practice raising the hands. Likewise over here, Sufyan al-Thawri knows full well of the hadith of raising the hands, as he himself quotes the hadith from Wa'il bin Hujr. What I've done is gone ahead and listed the Imams in the order of quoted hadith. So the one who quoted the least hadith, because he was not a hadith narrator or a transmitter, rather he was a faqih who used the hadith as a tool, but not known for transmission of hadith like the first 2 Imams. It goes without saying that the faqih needs to know all the relevant hadith. That's why Imam Zahabi lists him in his Tazkirat al-Huffaz, which lists all the Huffaz of hadith. That means all the people that knew more than 100,000 hadith. It would be like saying, oh, well, Einstein was a great physicist, but he didn't know arithmetic. We don't see him writing any of his formulas, arithmetic formulas. It goes without saying that a physicist requires arithmetic, mathematics, and all the other sciences as tools. Likewise, Imam Abu Hanifa's job was not to narrate the hadith. He was not a narrator of hadith, but rather a person who would use the hadith as a tool for finding juristic opinions and judicial ruling. Now, that was Imam Abu Hanifa, who was the greatest of the Mujtahid Imams, and Imam Zahabi and Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, though they're both Shafi'is, do refer to him as al-Imam al-Azam, the greatest Imam, who was the eldest Imam amongst the three, born, that's in 80 Hijri. His teacher, his main teacher with whom he spent more than 20 years was Hamad bin Abi Sulaiman, who was student of Ibrahim al-Nakhai. The madhab was progressively developed all the way from Alqama and Aswad Rahmatullah alayh, both students of the great Abdullah bin Masud radiallahu anhu, and all the way down to Imam Abu Hanifa, ending in a crescendo of his fiqh and deduction of matters. So Imam Hamad bin Abi Sulaiman and Ibrahim al-Nakhai, and before him Al-Aswad and Al-Qawa were the, so to say, like proto-Hanafis. Ibrahim al-Nakhai developed the madhab, Imam Hamad developed the madhab, and Abu Hanifa developed the madhab. All fuqaha. So it is based on the Imam Abu Hanifa. What he did is he had discussions on those rulings. He had debate about other incidents that would require a juristic ruling, whether they have already occurred or they are hypothetical. As a faqih, this is what he did, and his teachers include Ahmad bin Abi Sulaiman, Ibn Shahab al-Thawri, who is the one who is known for quoting the hadith, of doing the Raf al Yadain. Ikrama, who is the famous slave of Ibn Abbas, and Nafi, the freed slave of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. It's uncanny that the two narrators of the hadith for Raf al Yadain, Imam Ibn Shahab al-Zuhri and Nafi, are both teachers of the two respected Imams, Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa, and both of the Imams do not subscribe to the idea of the Raf al Yadain. That would lead them to subscribe that for their followers. What we can do is have a look at the teachers of Imam Abu Hanifa. We have Yahya bin Sa'id al-Ansari, who is the common teacher between him and Imam Malik. A student of the seven fuqaha of Medina. He is a very learned scholar of his time. Also the grandson of a Sahabi. Next one is Ibrahim bin Muhammad, another grandson of a Sahabi. And then we have Asim bin Kulayb. Now Asim bin Kulayb is the son of Kulab bin Shahab, who according to Isaba fi Tamyiz Sahaba, which gives biography of most companions, list him as a companion. Some other books list him as a tabi. Isaba of Imam Ibn Hajar lists him as a companion. So we have Asim bin Kulayb being the son of Kulab bin Shahab, would be a son of a Sahabi. He narrated the hadith for doing the Raf al Yadain, and he narrates the hadith for not doing the Raf al Yadain as well from his father. Then you have Ali bin Thabit, who was also the son of a Sahabi. and then Muhammad bin al-Munqadr, another common teacher between him and Imam Malik, and he was the son and the grandson of Sahaba. The one that requires special mention over here is Muhammad bin Ali, grandson of Hussein bin Ali bin Abi Talib. Muhammad bin Ali was also known as Muhammad Baqir. Next, Hisham bin Urwa. I've already introduced him, being the grandson of Zubair al-Awwam, son of Urwa bin Zubair, one of the 7 fuqaha, and the brother of Abdullah bin Zubair, the leader of the Muslims for 9 years, and during the rebellion against the Umayyads. Then you have the next two, you just pay special attention to them. One is Ma'an bin Abdurrahman, and one is Al-Qasim bin Abdurrahman, both brothers, and they are both grandsons of Abdullah bin Masud. Both grandsons of Abdullah bin Masud, they are the teachers, Imam Abu Hanifa. Ma'an bin Abdurrahman had a son, Qasim. I'm just going to introduce him a little bit later. After these two teachers, who are the grandsons of Abdullah bin Masud, Aun bin Abdullah, who's the son of Abdullah bin Utbah, son of Utbah bin Masud. Utbah bin Masud was the brother of Abdullah bin Masud. You have the grandson of Abdullah bin Masud and the grandson of his brother Utbah bin Masud. Children and grandchildren of the Sahaba, eyewitnesses to the Tabi'un, and so Raf al Yadain in the Hanafi Mazhab. Now coming back, who I said that I'll go ahead and introduce you to Al-Qasim bin Ma'an, the son of the teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa, Qasim bin Ma'an. And in Siyar al-Nubala, he is introduced as the great-grandson of the very illustrious Sahabi Abdullah bin Masud, who himself was a knowledge powerhouse, and as Imam, as a faqih, as a mujtahid, as the qadi of Kufa, as a mufti of his time. Great plaudits to him because he was all of this. At the same time, Imam Zahabi writes that he was one of the great students of Imam Abu Hanifa. So we do not come across any other students of Imams that were from the progeny of the Sahaba. So you have the father being the teacher of Imam Abu Hanifa and the son being the student of Imam Abu Hanifa. And he was all of the things that Imam Zahabi has mentioned as an Imam, a Faqih, a Mujtahid, a Qadi of Kufa, and the Mufti of his time. So with all the teachers, Al-Qasim bin Ma'an prefers Imam Abu Hanifa as the one to follow. Next, what I'm going to do is just quickly introduce you to two of the other students of Imam Abu Hanifa who gave fatwa according to his opinion. This is apart from the two great students of Imam Abu Hanifa, is Qadi Abu Yusuf and Muhammad ibn Hasan al-Shaybani, who helped Imam Abu Hanifa in developing his mazhab. But these two over here that I mentioned, one is Waqi with Jarrah. He, in narrating in the hadith, referred to as Thiqa, and he was a Hafiz. And a Hafiz of a hadith would mean that he would know more than 100,000 hadiths. 100,000 hadiths. As far as Sahih Bukhari is concerned, we have, if you take away the duplicates of the hadiths, we are left with about 2,500 some hadiths. And he was also the student of all of these great Imams that I have listed over here, but he chose to issue fatwa according to Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion. Then Waqi bin Jarrah was also the teacher of Imam Shafi'i. Then we have Yahya bin Sa'id al-Qattan. This is one of the main teachers of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. He is also rated Thiqa, and he is a Hafiz. The Hafiz of hadith, obviously 100,000 hadith is a lot of hadith, but every hadith that you know by a different chain of narrators is considered another hadith altogether. It might be the same hadith in text, but if you know the same hadith with a different chain of narrators, it would be another hadith altogether. So if you knew 100,000 hadith, that means that you would know a hadith with multiple transmission chains. They are mentioned as transmitters of hadith more than 1,000 times between the two of them in the six recognized books of Sahih Hadith, the Sihah Sitta. Yahya bin Sayyid al-Qattan was one of the pioneers who started the Ilm al-Rijal. Ilm al-Rijal is how you gauge the authenticity and the strength and weakness of a transmitter of hadith. And he's the teacher of the famous three is Imam Ahmad, Imam Ali al-Madini, and Yahya bin Ma'in. Yahya bin Ma'in obviously also one of the first people to start rating the strength of transmitters of hadith. Listed the illustrious teachers of both of Waqi bin Jarrah and Yahya bin Sayyid al-Qattan. After having all of these fantastic teachers, they had both decided to issue fatwas according to the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa, which technically make them the earliest known muftis of the Hanafi madhab, of course, apart from Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Tahzib al-Kamal under Waqi bin Jarrah is that Yufti will call Abi Hanifa. He used to give fatwa according to the call of Abi Hanifa. وكان يحيى بن سيد القطان يفتي بقوله أيضا. And also Yahya bin Sayyid al-Qattan used to do the same issue fatwa according to the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa. Now these are people who knew hundreds of thousands of hadiths, and these were students of Imam Abu Hanifa, and they resorted to the opinions of Imam Abu Hanifa instead of relying on the hadiths that they knew, because they knew that these opinions were reached after meticulous reading into the injunctions of the Quran and all the relevant Sunnah and all the relevant hadiths, and after a decision was reached, this decision was put into the treasure of debates for and against arguments to the matter at hand amongst great minds of the time like Abdullah bin Mubarak, Imam Zufar, Qasim bin Ma'an, and he had Fudail bin Ayad and Makki bin Ibrahim, one of the narrators of the Sulyafiyat al-Bukhari, and Waqi bin Jarrah himself, and Yahya bin Sayyid al-Qattan. So they knew that this was a well-considered opinion in every way, and then they disregarded the hadiths that they knew against this opinion that was considered after all the hadiths and Sunnah and the Quran were looked into. There are plenty of hadiths in the Musannafs and elsewhere about the Sahaba doing the Raf al Yadain, but then again it lacks the context of time. It could have been recorded when the Prophet was still alive and the practice wasn't abrogated yet. And then again, what we have over here is that the greatest minds of the time in Islam that actually quoted the hadith from people that would have known even better about the hadith have all declined to practice on the hadith because they had sufficient evidence that this hadith is not to be practiced. And what we have, the practice of the Tabi'un, the Raf al Yadain might have been a practice, but what I am saying is that it was not a practice the practice of a sunnah of the salat that is always carried out and can be viewed and witnessed by everybody in public. For the five-time prayers in the masjid is different if someone is doing it in the house for nawafil or just trying to imitate the Prophet in one way or the other. But it was according to what is evident over here, definitely not the Sunnah. The last but not least, what we are going to do with the last of the Imams, the period of the Khair al-Qurun, was Imam Shafi'i. He was the last of the Tawi, Imam Shafi, but at the same time, he was the only one of the Imams that chose to do the Raf al Yadain. Imam Shafi benefited in knowledge from Umar bin Ali bin Umar bin Ali bin Abi Talib. So, like the great grandson of Sayyidina Ali, who was the teacher of Imam Shafi. And this is according to Imam Ibn Hajar, the only Tawi that Imam Shafi benefited in knowledge from, which makes him a Tawi. Now, Imam Shafi, for 10 years, he studied under Imam Malik. So he knew exactly where Imam Malik was coming from when Imam Malik held the opinion not doing the Raf al Yadain. Over here, I'm going to talk about some of the usul of these Imams. Imam Malik takes the opinion that whenever you have two contradictory hadiths, as we have over here, one for doing, one for not doing, doesn't matter if it's Sahih or not Sahih, because he is the one quoting the hadith that is Sahih according to us. But to him, it's not Sahih because he takes the opinion that the practice of the people of Medina provides evidence that if it is Sahih or not. The teachers that are listed, the sons and grandsons of the Sahaba and their practice is proof that this other practice is Sahih because these students of the Sahaba did not practice the Raf al Yadain. Then after the 10 years with Imam Malik, he learned the Muwatta and all the Hadith, and after spending the 10 years, after the death of Imam Malik, he moved to Kufa and spent another few years as a student of Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani, who was the student of Imam Abu Hanifa. And this was to learn the fiqh of Kufa. And he knew full well where Imam Muhammad was coming from when Imam Muhammad was not practicing the Raf al Yadain. So Imam Shafi was exposed to the hadith of not doing the Raf al Yadain from 2 points of view. One point of view is that Tabi'un are not practicing it, so it doesn't deserve to be practiced. The second is that of Imam Muhammad, who takes both hadiths. Whenever there is a contradictory hadith, the Hanafi usul is that they look for the nasikh and mansukh. That means what is abrogated and the abrogator hadith. And according to Imam Muhammad, the hadith of doing the Raf al Yadain is abrogated. Now we move next to the usul of Imam Shafi. Now this is very important. In the Warqat, which is the book of Shafi Usul written by Imam al-Haramain al-Juwayni, what you see is that when you ever have contradictory hadith, in what Imam Shafi tries to do before he looks at the Nasikh and Mansukh, the first point he does, he looks for a way of reconciling the hadith, to practice on both the hadith in such a way that by your practice you are satisfying both a hadith and you're not going contrary to either one. So to resolve contradictory hadith, the Amal of Medina was not Imam Shafi's usul. Looking for Nasikh and Mansukh, that was not his first preference in his usul. But what was his preference in his usul was to make jama of the two hadiths. Over here he considers a reconciliation possible between the two hadiths of doing and not doing as far as he is. But obviously he preferred the hadith with its strength to be followed, that he chose doing the Raf al Yadain as the main practice, but at the same time to satisfy the other hadith of not doing the Raf al Yadain, he makes not doing the Raf al Yadain a Sunnah Hayya according to the Shafi'i fiqh. That means doing the Raf al Yadain is not farz or wajib, and is not Sunnah Ibadah according to the Shafi'i school. That if take is made or that practice forgotten during the Salat, one has to do a sajda sahaf. But Sunnah Hayya is where a Sunnah sahaf is not required. That means that if you have missed Raf al Yadain, you have not damaged your Salat so much as to require a sajda sahaf. According to Imam Shafi'i, he has now, by taking this stance, he has satisfied both hadith. One of doing by actually doing it, and one of not doing by saying that, hey, don't, if you miss it by mistake or you don't do it, then it's a Sunnah Hayya anyway, that you don't require a sajda sahaf to make up for the defect that had been created. So both the hadiths are satisfied according to him. So now what we see is that following the hadith according to the Shafi'is, by doing the Raf al Yadain according to the Shafi'is, you are actually satisfying both the hadiths. You are satisfying the hadith of actually doing it, and at the same time he takes into consideration the hadith of not doing it. So both of the hadiths according to the usul of Imam Shafi'i of this stance is correct. According to his usul is reconciliation between two contradictory hadiths. Once again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy on everyone whose name is mentioned. And once again, I'd say, radiyallahu anhu ajma'in. And if I've missed sallallahu alayhi wasallam when the Prophet was mentioned, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for that and accept all the graces for everyone who's mentioned. So this is my considered take on the Raf al Yadain from the earliest sources, quoting the actual transmitters of the hadith who transmit the hadith of Raf al Yadain and then refuse to practice it in their lives, and then instructed their followers to also carry on the practice of not doing the Raf al Yadain. So this will be it. So all that is right in this little lecture of mine is from the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever is wrong is from me, and may Allah ta'ala forgive me for that. I have a medical condition that is severe, and I would like all to make dua for me if they can. Jazakallah khair. Wa akhir da'wan alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. I am Mustafa bin Hussain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.